From Senegal to Sugar Hill, trace the bloodline. 100 years of brilliance through the color line. They thought the shackles broke but kept the mental chain. Langston penned the future while they legislated pain. Harlem's ballrooms birthed the cosmos in mahogany, while lynching trees still decorated southern botany. Josephine, Waker's pearls, and Garvey's Navy ships. Du Bois debating destiny with scholarship on his lips. The Renaissance was a renaissance, it was resistance, fam. Every trumpet blast from Armstrong was a battering ram. They gave us minstrel shows, we gave them Sora Neal. Turned depression into art, made the fabricated real. Cotton Club excluded us from tables every set. To form the Deanest Nightly, never free from the deck. But Bessie Smith could shatter glass, shatter cash, shatter lies. Every note she sang contained a revolution in the sky. Build temples from the rubble, make cathedrals from the scribble. Turned the margins to the center, now they study what we scribble. We build temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they try to keep us from. Fast forward through the decades, watch the pattern reassemble. Malcolm's speeches, Martin's marches, every voice begins to tremble to the earth until the structure shows its fractures. FBI was tracking every coon with every pastor, every actor. 40 acres never came but 40 minutes on a stage. To reconvene your consciousness and channelize the rage. From bebop to hip-hop, the fool lines mathematical. Each generation weaponized the beautiful, the radical. They gave us Reagan, now there's crack and mass incarceration. We gave them Public Enemy and blueprints for liberation. The Harlem Renaissance never ended, just evolved its form. Every freestyle cipher is a brainstorm, is a storm. Where the children of the talented, the tenth that was prophesied, inherit the fire that the water couldn't wash aside. They tried to write us out the narrative. We offered all on text, 100 years of proof, and that we're destined. Where was next? Temples from the rubble, made cathedrals from the struggle. Turned the largest to the center, now they study what we scribble. We built temples from the rubble, every generation double the inheritance of genius that they tried to keep us from.
All right, this is Under the Groove podcast, and we are touching bases with the people. Welcome everybody. Happy Wednesday. All right. It's Grand Rising for those of us who have made it this far. Again, keep in mind, man, that you are fortunate, or some of us like to say blessed, all right, to be here. We are here. Let's make the best of it. All right. Let's deal with the day, and hopefully, in the process, we build for a potential tomorrow. You know what I mean? Tomorrow's not promised to anybody, and yet it's wise to prepare. You know what I mean? What they say, we used to say back in the day, the G's, I got this from them. They say, stay ready. You don't have to get ready. All right. So let's do it like that. All right. We are here. This is Under the Groove podcast, and we are touching bases with the people. This is where we see no evil, speak no evil, and hear no evil. Everything we do here is above board. All right. It's solid. It's straight, man. That's just what we do. You know what I mean? And we do it because we're focused on the focused. And that enables us to get down with this, get down, man, as we should, long day. My days are now filled with a lot of work, man. A lot of work. And just in terms of, putting together content, researching, reading, and just going through stuff, man. Found a few things I liked, one of which I'm going to drop into this get down with us tonight, man. Maybe a couple of things, actually. So, let's prepare for that. The first clip will concern or deal with how we used to be educated as opposed to how we're being educated today. And we're talking about the children, you know what I mean? And the other is a clip I caught with Kyrie Irving, man. And Kyrie Irving was saying something I think is just some solid shit, man. It's solid in the fact that he was willing to say it, because today, in terms of what's going on in the world today with entertainers, athletes, politicians, even, people business, they are reluctant to speak truth to power, because they understand that they function within this apparatus, man, that will hold you accountable for getting out of line. All right. But kudos, man, to Kyrie Irving for just saying what he said, and he said it in such a way, man, it was just appropriate. Again, when we speak to whatever it is we speak to, we have to understand or keep in mind that it's not what we say, is how we say it. You know what I mean? And that goes double for it's not what we do, but how we go about doing it. All right. So those are the two little pieces we'll, touch on, lightly or however long that conversation lasts. Again, the education of our people, man, our children specifically, and then what's really going on in the world and why is it that we don't really see what's happening, We talk about this all the time. The distractions are real, man, and they're there for a reason, all right? Another thing I want to say, as far as all things politics 26, we do have in place a new name. I'll probably be dropping that tomorrow. I'll switch out the names. And again, we want to give thanks to our sister, our queen, Lorraine Sense, for suggesting that, hey, try this on for size, and it seems to fit for us, the art of political discourse is the new handle or title of the channel. We're going to get rid of all things politics because truthfully, there are a lot of all things politics in that space, of most of which aren't even used, but the name exists. So yeah, it could be confusing. This, the art of political discourse is, is by itself. It's alone. There's no other in there. So yeah, I appreciate Lorraine Sent for dropping that in there and, just suggesting that, hey, man, we go about this a certain way so that we gain or garner, the attention we need. We don't have to compete with people with the same names. So that is. Hey, man, again, man, peace and blessings to everybody up in here, man. B1 equals Black First. This is where we get down with that get down, unapologetically. We're not apologizing for saying, hey, man, it has to be, it needs to be in these times, us first, to put anything ahead of us or anybody ahead of us, man, then we are allowing, or we're putting ourselves in a back seat or on the back burner where, nothing really cooks, you don't see much in the back seat, you just been driven, what I mean? You're being taken to where whoever's driving want to take you, So be first would indicate that, hey, man, we in the driver's seat now, Be first, say, man, don't put us on the back burner. Put us right there on the front, man. Put us right there on the front of that burner, man. Let us cook. Let us cook. Let us do what we gonna do. We got movement, man. Let's make sure we keep that going. We keep that flow, that movement, that motion going. All right. That's what that is. Damn comments. Damn. Hold on, y'all. See, and I promised myself I would keep up because this shit be woo. Be up and running already. Damn. All right, James. I see you, brother. Salute right back to you. You know what I'm saying? We tapped in right before he even came on, man. All right, Smoke. Come on, being a little more consistent. Love that. He said, Big Mama house. Oh my God, Martin Lawrence, man, Big Mama's house, man. I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why it just made me have that thought of Norbit with that Eddie Murphy and Rasputia. Y'all know it's kind of like in the same vein to me, man. But yeah, anyway, yeah, man, I see you in this get down, brother. Peace and blessings, man. It's a good look, man, to have you up in here with us. All right. He said, say to the universe as well as to the people, man. There you go. That's in it, James say happy Wednesday. I appreciate you, loved one. Likewise, bro. And that goes for everybody in the RGC, man. That goes also for those who are coming in this get out for the first time or maybe the second or third time, man. Peace and blessings, you brothers and sisters, man. A lot of love, man. Unity, dignity and respect. That's what we putting forth on this get down called Touching Bases with the People. All right. All right, Antonio. Front and center all the time, man. All the time. Queen Nzinga says, hey now, happy hump day to all my beautiful kings and queens in the Royal Group congregation. B1 equals Black First. B1 to represent that, to push that Black First. All right. Yeah. James say, Bub, we've been in North America before the 1600s, but they don't tell us the origins of how we got here. You see, they say the Spanish and French and British devils brought us over. That's straight BS. Facts. In fact, damn, you saying that? I have something dropping tomorrow all things politics / the art of this political discourse, addressing that very thing, man. That will be up and running tomorrow. All right. I got so much content to drop. In fact, I better double check that because it might be Friday that I had that drop, and I'm just lining up content, just keeping that flow going. Like I say, motion. We need motion. Motion is good, y'all. Motion is good. It's better than being stagnant, being static. We want motion. Motion, I think, man, helps, or it can, it gives us a sense of, it puts us in the frame of mind where we have to be doing something. And if that's the case, then let us do something that's constructive, that's productive, that's positive, you know what I'm saying? That would empower the people, So it's all good, man. James, you going to say, well, you said that, that's straight BS. Smoke said, man, the lifestyle of God's recreation is eternal life. Smoke, Miami, man, Choctaw says the lifestyle of God's creation is eternal life. All right. Rakul Food, peace right back to you, brother. Black Power, man. All right. Peace and blessings to the melanated people, y'all. Peace and blessings. All right. I see you, Lisa Moore. Good to see you in here, Queen. She said, Grand Rising. Hey, big bro. Blessings to you and the family. Peace and love to the kings and queens in the chat. B1. B1 is our mantra, y'all. It's our theme. Black first. Appreciate seeing you tonight, sister. Hopefully your day, and as well, this goes for everybody, that your days have been satisfactory, productive, first and foremost, full of love, man, understanding, man, unity, respect, and a lot of dignity, man. We got to wear this like we wear clothes, y'all. That dress ourselves up, man, and mean it when we dress. Back in the day when brothers and sisters used to dress, they dressed to the nines, man. They did not play. I remember as a youth, man, watching brothers, my uncles, you know what I'm saying? Just men, when they go out, man, they dress to a T, suited and booted, laced and braced as well, and that means, for those who don't know, they got security, Usalamu. But hey, man, laced and braced, suited and booted, man. They dressed in such a way that you couldn't help but smile and admire it. You know what I'm saying? We're to the point, wifey and I, we're to the point where when we go out now, man, we dressing up, man, and the way we dress, man, speaks to how we feel. You know what I mean? Our mindset, what our spirit is, I'm saying, emanating from within. You know what I mean? We know we black folk. We know we look good. We know we look good. So yeah, that is, man. Rakufu says, though no one person has ever been perfect, the goal still remains to strive for perfection. All right. Yeah. They say there's no such thing as perfection, but that doesn't mean you can't strive for it, and I imagine, or I take what you're saying as well, is that, hey, man, the more we strive for perfection, the closer we'll get to it. And there will come a point where, man, we're perfect, man, in all things, in all ways. You know what I mean? So, if you really think about it, for any of us, whoever we think or believe who our creator is, that creator or that force, that power, man, created us in, the image of perfection. Now that means, we have faults and flaws. That does not take away from the construct of us, who we are, how we're made, how we're built, especially what's in our souls and minds, man. Perfection. We just in a lot of ways forgotten how to utilize it or recognize it, But hey, if we don't have it, then the stage is set for us to always continue to strive for that. Perfection is key. Perfection, I think, is everything, man. It's part of, what makes this construct us the shit, Appreciate that, Rakufu. Al, you up early, man. How did that game turn out yesterday? Well, first and foremost, man, peace and blessings to you, man. Love and respect, man. How was that game yesterday? How'd your boy do? Did he shine? Pretty sure he did, man. With a father like you, perfection. He's striving for it, man. Better believe it. Al says, salutations to Bub and the Queen and to all of the Black kings and queens in the RGC. Peace and blessings to everyone. B1 does equal Black first. That's what it is, man. There's no altering that or changing around. We're not going to switch it up. It is what it is. B1 equals Black first. All right. You going to say Al salutation? Well, that's almost the same. Get down. That's all right. Okay. James said, man, I'm sending my love and respect to the UGC across the board. All right. Under the groove. I don't know. I look at say UGC. What's that, James? But under the groove congregation. What I don't know. But yeah, all right. All right. RGC, got you, bro. Got you. Pope, how you doing, loved one? Pope Mitchell Podcast TV said, what it do, bub? Off today, but glad to be here on the best live in LA at UTG. And shout out to the kings and queens in RTG. Man, it's good, man. It's always good, man. Take a load off. Yeah, we have priorities. A lot of responsibility, man, for grown folk, man, to be grown folk. You know what I mean? We are accountable, man, for everything that goes on within our lives, and then those who depend on us to, live our lives a certain way. But yet and still, got to know, man, when to take the load off. Take a load off, relax. And that's what Pope doing. Appreciate seeing that, reading that, bro. All right, love right to you. Love right back to you, man. Black love, Lisa. Black love, Queen. Rakufu said, yesterday is history. Today is a present. And tomorrow is a mystery. Yeah. Tomorrow is a mystery. That doesn't mean, though, that we still can't set it up, prepare, prep. Let's prep, Again, man, if we're fortunate enough, if we're blessed enough for, the spirit to wake us up, to get us up and be 10 toes down, hey, man, hit the ground running. Have a plan. Understand that throughout your day, man, you have to be the captain of that ship. You got to navigate yourself, man, and others who depend on you through life's, man, obstacle courses, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that, all right? It's a mystery, but hey, man, we can cut that mystery in half, man, by being somewhat prepared to deal with the unknown, Yeah, how do you deal with the unknown? Yeah, don't nobody really know, man. We ain't gonna know till we see it or till it confronts us. And yet, still, man, presence of mind, man, that's one way, man, of being ready, to deal with the unknown, man. Being confident and assured in, your ability, man, to get through whatever, life put before you, man. All right. That's it. All right, James, you say steer the wheel. Don't sit in the back. I don't need no damn chauffeur. You best ride your automobile. That's the truth, man. Like I say, when you're in the back seat, that means somebody is taking you, someplace. You know what I mean? And in most cases, when there are those of us who sit in the back seat, man, we're being driven somewhere by somebody else. We're not at the helm. We're not at the wheel. We can't decide or determine where it is we want to go. If I want to go left, you're going right, but I'm in the back seat. I can't tell you go left. Sunday driving. That's what they call it. Yeah, so I'd rather be in the driver's seat, man. Like most of us do, Pretty sure of that. Big Mama House was funny. Yeah, see, I be trying. Yeah, yeah, man. I'm gonna watch that, man. They're gonna get my laugh on, hit that thing once, twice, man. You're gonna laugh and shit, but it's all right. He said, James said, man, Eddie Murphy and Eddie Griffin, some hilarious brothers, legendary, and also to the beloved Bernie Mac. Come on, man, one of the realest in that game, man. One of the favorites of all times. Rest in peace, King One. Real spit, man. Bernie Mac, man, was a no-nonsense dude, but funny as hell, and he let you know, hey, man, I ain't playing that game. I can't do the Bernie Mac voice, man, but man, Jiggling, Bernie, man. Man, hilarious brother, man. Real spit. All right, Rakufu, I ain't finna try this, man. All right. Off equals flesh, right? Of God, ka equals image, a equals one, Marie equals love, ka equals image. This is the Metu Neter language of Kemet. Egyptian translation is I'm the flesh of God's image. Africa, I love image, America. All right. Real shit, man. Real shit. I didn't do that one too bad this time, Rakufu. You know, Jane said, Bubs, I'm here grilling these burgers because but I'm here, ears wide open, man. Get it in, man. Get it in. You outside grilling? How you grilling them? You got one of them stoves where that grill is right on the stove in between the, the burners and shit, or you outside on the grill? It's the difference. And if you grilling, boy, you chilling. I know you got some music on, kind of low in the background, man. You doing this thing with touching bases and you grilling. You're in a good state of mind, man. Good state of mind. You're going to say I wear comfortable, loose clothing always have, even though moms used to dress me different when I was just knee high. But getting off the porch, I threw on khakis by 12 and 13, Levi's and Ben Davis's. I was telling y'all the other night, man, how, I still have a certain dress code when I'm just, around, a house roundabout, or I'll pull up on my bro, man, put on Mexican, hang out for a minute. I got my jeans, my 501s on, cuffed, what I mean? I got a pair of Pumas on or something, nice shirt, what I'm saying? I'm comfortable how I dress, what I'm saying? Especially when I'm just chilling, I'm being casual, I was saying a minute ago, when we go out, we go, dressed to the nines, man. We suited and booted, So I get that, bro. I get that. Oak Park Boxing, 8818, man. Hey, all right. Hey, man, I imagine you already know. You here. This is Under the Groove Podcast. You are now a part of touching bases with the people, man. Our chat is filled up, is filling up, man, as I speak, man. But what I'm want to say to you, bro, is, you joining in with the RGC, and that's the Royal Group Congregation, man. This is where we get down with the get down, man, and we focus on the focus. First things first here, man, is love, man, for one another, respect, unity and dignity. Hey, man, as long as you represent that, man, come on in here, man. Pick up some jewels and gems, man, or drop them. Makes no difference to us, man, because they all gonna get picked up regardless. Your being here, man, is a good thing, man. Appreciate your presence, bro. One love and peace and blessings to you and yours, man. Hang around, man. Hang around. For sure, for sure. You hang around long enough, you're going to pick up something. You're going to pick up something. And salute right back to you, bro. Appreciate your presence. James said it's disgraceful how MF's dressed out there in public. It's really shameful and mind-boggling. I wasn't raised to show my boxers. I stay sagging in my baggy fit, but I don't hang my pants off my ass. I was walking through the house the other day, and man, I hear you. I hear you loud and clear. Had my sweats on, and I'm like this, man. I don't like tight clothes, So my drawstring, it ain't tight around my waist. You know what I mean? I got my phone in my pocket, my wallet, my keys. I'm gonna walk around the house, whatever. My pants start, my sweat starts to slide down. And the wife said, "What? Put your pants up." And I'm like, "Damn, no shit, But around the house it happens, what I mean? But out in public, yeah, that's something, I tend not to do, and I'm mindful of it. Okay, man, hey, put your pants up, tighten my belt, whatever, But I'm like you, man. I like my clothes to fit me loosely. I don't like tight shit. I don't do tight. That reminds me, my wife bought me a shirt, and most of y'all know, or I said this just recently, I don't really shop for myself, you know what I mean? But my wife bought me a shirt. Nice shirt, man. One of them quarter buttons, not a quarter zip, but a quarter button shirt. I like those type of shirts, But but damn, man, the shirt fit too tight. I have you cutting off the circulation on my arms, and she's like, "Oh, that look good on you." Like, nah, man, I don't do that. Even in my shirts, I can't have no tight fitting shirt on. I don't know, man. It just seems inappropriate to me. Because I'm not trying to show off nothing. I ain't got nothing to show off, man. I'm just a black man, and I like being how I am. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, and this was I remember that incident. It was about 5 months ago. Nice shirt though. In fact, I've worn it a couple of times, around the house. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm with you on that, man. I'm with you on that. A lot of brothers and sisters nowadays, man, the way they dress, man, really actually is indicative of how it really shows how they think, about themselves and how they dress, especially out in public. Brothers, yeah, man, pants down to their knees, you know what I'm saying? Everything is tight, you know what I mean? You know, yeah, it's different now, man. Sisters are worse. What we see nowadays, in terms of how sisters carry themselves is, it's disgraceful and it's shameful. You know what I mean? Just, don't get me wrong, man. I'm speaking truth to power here, man. Over the years, I've corrected my, the way I think, especially in terms of how I see sisters. You know what I mean? So a sister can be out there, man, in what they call these booty shorts or whatever, and then she got the camel toe and it's all up in the crack of their butts and all this. I despise that now. I mean, tell the truth, man. Used to be a time, damn, turned on. Like, damn, look at that. But now, man, it's like, come on, man, that's you're not respecting yourself. You're not respecting yourself. And a lot of sisters tend to wonder why men, not just brothers, but men, of all ethnicities approach them the way they do. It's like, okay, you on the stroll, you on the blade or something, and so that's how men will approach you, or approach them. You know what I'm saying? So I have an issue with that, man. I don't like it. I have nieces, man. We have daughters. We got family, and if shit is inappropriate, I'll say something quick as spit, man. They say when you spit, it go 100 miles an hour, man. It's fast. I'm fast with my, hey, what are you doing? Where you going dressed like that? A lot of sisters don't understand though. Also, that code of dress, that style of dress, man, is attracting attention. Some of which a lot of sisters won't. This is why they do it. But the reality is, it attracts the wrong type of attention. You're going to get, there's the possibility, the potential for the wrong individual focusing on you and you thinking it's cool. And then that just be the end of it. You know what I mean? And there are so many stories just like that. In these times, 2026, 2025, going back, man, how far you want to go back? Sisters, in a way, played themselves, out of their own lives, man, just because how they carried themselves, and that includes not just how they dress, but that includes also how they speak and the demeanor, the disposition, how to, all that matters, man. And you got certain types of individuals who look for those flaws, because that's what they are, in our sisters, in order to exploit them, So it's a cold thing, man. We need to take more, have more pride and dignity about ourselves, man. And that's after the fact, I think that will be something that would start to be, natural in, just our everyday lives. But it will only come from the fact that you come to the realization that you love yourself enough to present yourself in a certain way that commands respect, and from that, man, there's that dignity and there's that pride, sisters, heads held high, queens, goddesses, queen mothers, man, all that, man, riffraff would know to leave you alone, just your continence, how you are, how you, they be like, oh no, she ain't having that, We have sisters like that. And we want to always give those type of sisters their flowers. And then for the sisters who ain't reached that level of understanding yet, we want to continue to talk to them, you know, to lace them and let them know, hey, don't put yourself in jeopardy. Do not put yourself in risk because you want a certain type of attention, you know. And again, sisters do that. Brothers do it too, but sisters do it though more so for the fact it becomes, you know, for a lot of sisters, it's an economic thing, you know. It's about economics, it's about finance, about money, you know, and that's sad, man. You know, our sisters have been relegated now to being whores. And I'm gonna say that, man, because that's what it is. That's what these others think about our sisters. That's what we as black men think about our black women. We see them as pieces of flesh, you know, not to be respected or held high, you know, placed on pedestals, you know. You know, and brothers, first thing they say, oh, she don't deserve respect. Look how she acting. Look at her. But that don't mean you should go about that way because you recognize she's messed up. Then you need to also recognize that, okay, man, I'm just adding to the problem if I treat her like that. You know? That's to get down, man. That's to get down. Yeah, James. That's what it is, man. Rakufu says, man, we as an energy manifests as human beings at one point on our cosmic travels, on our Earth ship traveling in deep space, recognize that God gene. All right. I'm telling you, man, but you know, I'll finish the statement, man, but everybody don't recognize that they, especially melanated people, possess the God gene, man. You know, I was just, we've talked about this in touching bases, man, with the people. We are of the nine ether. There's nothing higher than us. I read some shit just recently, man, where they are finding there is more to our DNA than meets the eye. So I'm like, okay, man, you know, I just start wondering, man, about all kind of shit. How's y'all coming to understand this, man? Is it because they have a lot of shit in place, man, the way they extract shit from us, man, either with our consent or against our will, you know? So I'm like, damn, man, how's y'all discovering all this shit? Is it blood samples? You know, is it through the teeth that dentists collect from black people? You know what I mean? Is it the abduction of people and, you know, they never been seen again to be experimented on? What is it? How y'all doing this? And we not privy to this shit, you know? Excuse me. You know? So I just wonder about that type of stuff, man. I wonder about that type of stuff. I just do, man. Excuse me. Yeah, we are of the God gene. All right. So great point there. To finish off what you were saying, Rakufu, you saying, yeah, we are that God gene, water in nature. It and stand back and marvel at divinity. Let me read that again because I made it sound all jumbled and shit. We as an energy manifest as human beings at one point on our cosmic travels, on our Earth ship traveling in deep space. Recognize that God gene, water it, nurture it, and stand back and marvel at its divinity. Marvel, man, at its growth, man, at its evolution. You know what I mean? Come on, man, real spit, man. All right, all right. I had to do that right, Rakufu, because you know I got what you said, but you know I have to know when to put my commas and periods in there and shit. You know what I'm saying? But hey, man, appreciate that, man. I'm hoping the people check that out, man. Hey, I knew you was outside in the yard grilling, man. That's the only way we do it. I've yet to know one person who grills in the kitchen. You know, we have one of them situations. I ain't never seen my wife grill on that thistle. You know, not no, you know, no meats anyway. You know what I mean? So yeah, man, that's the only way, only place that should be taking place. You know what I mean? So yeah, you're enjoying the, you know, that fresh weather, man. You know, the rains have gone. You know, it may be back real soon. I think maybe later tonight, early morning. But tomorrow's supposed to rain again. But in the meantime, in between time, man, marvel Marvel at nature, man. Good thing, man. And again, we are a part of that. We are a part of it, man. Take it in. Yeah. You going to say, yeah, I'm just grooving with the get down feeling right now. Handle that shit, man. Yeah, and of course, please, people, like, share, comment, and subscribe, man. Touching base with the people under the Groove podcast. Subscribe if you see fit. But in any respect, man, if you don't subscribe, you don't want, okay, yeah, like, man. Share this, get down, man, and comment. Jump on up in here, man. This is where we do, the good shit at. This is where the get down actually goes down. All right. Appreciate that, James. Lil A Stop, how you doing, brother? Good? All right, man. Good to see you back, man. All right. So you're going to say, Bub, how did you get the podcast started? Your interviews with Tony Stacy, Big Duck Down PT with the rest of the homies. How did you get your interview skills? Well, to be quite honest, homie, I didn't have no skills, homie. In terms of just being, being of mind or having, a little bit of sense, man, to speak, and try or attempt to speak articulately, correctly, man, that just comes, and I had to say this from prison, just reading, and again, I give credit also though to my mom. She was an educator, and I swear to you, man, I remember things she used to tell me about speaking, and especially to other people when you're having a conversation or there's a dialogue going on. I used to say, little shit like this, hey, where you put that at? And moms, you pop out of nowhere, boy, what you say? I said, where you put that at? I said, behind the proposition at. What the fuck she talking about? But then I learned, that you don't end a sentence like that, especially with the word at, I'm saying all that to say, man, this through time, man, and I'm still not a skilled interviewer, not as skilled as I would like to be. I'm getting there. In terms of how the interviews came to be, first, you have to take into account that, the concept for the podcast had to come into fruition first. And once that start happening, I start, tapping in, I love my G's, man, and I know my G's love me. They respect and love me like I respect and love them, that don't go for all of them, you know what I mean? Um, but for the most part, being most G's I'm in contact with, I meet, there's love and respect there, you know what I mean? Um, TS was just, a G homie that, we hung out, you know what I mean? We got together, we went to, parties together and stuff like that, we chopped it up, and he, of course, is a G homie. All the other homies, I know him from doing time from the streets, you know what I'm saying? And rest in peace to all those who aren't here, man, who helped to lace me. How well, PT is another G, man, solid cat, down to earth dude, man. You say what it means, and when he said, he means what he says, you know what I mean? TS, yep, through TS, me and PT, we formulated the bond, man, of respect and love, mutual love and respect for one another, man. Still talk to the G homie to this day. That brought me to, lining it up with Hoover Joe, I never met Hoover Joe personally back as I was coming up or as they were doing their thing, you know what I mean? I know his brother real well, his brother met way back in the 80s, mid 80s, you know what I mean, on a get down, man, that he's never forgotten. I actually forgotten to refresh my memory, and I said, oh man, for real, that was you, boom, boom, boom. So he and I are tight to this day. We still talk, but Joe's introduction to me came by way of individuals like Tony Stacy, PT, as well as Hoover Joe was TC and others, you know what I mean? Who I had never met before. And the conversation just flowed, and I take it that, them brothers respected me, you know what I mean? I'd never asked them or had to, would have the audacity to say, you heard of me, never, but I say, hey man, yeah, your name, boom, 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 it's an honor to meet you, and especially since these brothers owns a whole different get down, you know what I mean? These brothers are living their lives, and anytime the opportunity arises with the majority of them, they speak truth to power. They say what it is, you know what I mean? They tell brothers, hey man, no, but TS, PT, TC, Tony, Hoover Joe, others, whole array, man, Big Pete, all my homies, Curly and Mark, you know what I mean? My homies, my G homies, man, that I didn't interview, that I have love and respect for, love and respect me in return, man. Shouts out to all you brothers, man. I want, especially, man, I just he in my brain right now, the G homie Smiley, man, from Salo. It's a good brother, man. You know what I mean? All the dudes, man, that really mean something, Lil Bam, man, I go on and on to the break of dawn. Hoover Sam, man, Ed Qualls. I mean, go on and on, man. Michael Gillis, love that dude, crazy motherfucker, good dude though, good dude. Hey man, G homies, man, from 43rd, man, to 112th Street, man. So, what did not transpire in terms of me interviewing certain individuals, man, it transpired like that for a reason. I trust that everything happens for a reason. We were not able, or I was not able to touch bases with so many G's. Again, Red, man, from Salo, love and respect, man. Lil Red, love and respect, homies, man. Eminem, just I go on and on, man. I can go on and on. But we never got to those interviews because that wasn't how, the powers that be wanted it to go down. You know what I mean? Because, I was told specifically, if the higher power spoke to them, or if something could, then they would be front and center. At that juncture, it wasn't for them. And I respected that. I respected that. I had one of the loved ones say, man, did it make you mad when, the G homies wouldn't come? I said, no, homie, it really didn't. It really didn't, It really didn't, because I understood, man, that everything is not for everybody, and things happen for a reason, or they don't happen for a reason. You know what I'm saying? That's how I took that, man. I had no issue with it. And then to boot, my idea in terms of the podcast, Little Hilltop, it started out, it was about, that's how it started out, about the history of the set, how it started, pure and simple, but there was always this concept that we wouldn't stay there, we wouldn't stay there, in paying homage to the community that I come from. We would evolve, we would be different, you know what I mean? And, truth to power, man, that's what it's come to. So I had no issues about that. And then not only that, man, but there's the fact that, during these times, man, in terms of doing the interviews or whatnot, those that happened, those that didn't happen. And shout out, man, rest in peace to Big 10 Speed, man. Another loss right there, man. But, these things occurred, what I'm saying, because they were meant to occur, the interviews that took place and those that didn't, But again, the concept had always been to evolve, to not, well, for the most part, all the interviews I did, we did not harp on or glorify gangbanging. In the initial stages, we talked about how Hoover Street, or the Hoover Crips came to be, but there was never a moment or time through these discussions and interviews, through these episodes, where we sat down and we chopped it up about the Hoover get down and the things they did, all the shit that's attached to gang culture. We didn't discuss those things, man, that, really had no business being discussed. And that's why, it takes me to this thought. That's why it trips me out when certain homies get on these, on social media and start talking about things they shouldn't talk about. You know, again, going into the interviews, it was always understood that we would never discuss, you know, things that took place, you know, that shouldn't be discussed. That was off the rip. You know, if a lot of you guys go back and look at some of my interviews, there are a few homies that came on. And V, shout out to you. Also, Cartoon, Nine Deuce, both of them, Nine Deuce, shots out. I remember episode, you know, Cartoon was getting, you know, he was turning up, and I let him know, like, homie, nah, that ain't this, homie. You know, respectfully, that ain't this, you know, and just out of love and respect for me, he understood, you know, and we took it in another direction. He, you know, he was the most boisterous about, you know, the get down than others, you know what I mean? But it was never about, you know, the activities, you know, of the set, man. That was something I was just totally against. I didn't think that, you know, this podcast warranted that type of, you know, interview or that type of content. So that it is. In terms, again, let me go back to skills, interview skills. Man, I lack skills, but like I say, I grow, you know, I grow, you know, I evolve. And this is what we all are able or capable of doing, evolving, growing, you know, being better, you know, being better. The homie just mentioned, man, perfection. We aren't perfect, but we could strive for that. And that's what the, you know, my groove is about, you know, striving for perfection. You know what I mean? Doing it right, you know, learning from the last time. So when I get to the, you know, the next get out, I remember, you know, what took place, my lessons, and I'm, you know, boom, boom, boom. I'm trying to be better at it. But and if you're asking, man, you know, so because you have thoughts of doing something, hey man, hey, jump in, jump in, you know. And if that's the case, I can only, you know, hope that you wanting to be involved in this genre, man, you know, you know, as a part or, you know, in social media, man, that you bring something to it that's useful, that's worthy of being discussed, homie, you know, that has a purpose behind it, you know. Don't just get in it, homie, you know, to represent, you know, lay low and, you know, Hoover. It's a bigger picture, you know. It's a bigger picture, bro. So if that's the case, man, hey, man, I encourage you to get involved, you know, to get involved. You know, the more the merrier, I say. A lot of brothers in this space, man, they don't want what they deem competition. I've never been afraid of competition, you know. Living life is competing. You know, you compete to live rather than die. You know what I mean? So I'm used to that. You know, a lot of brothers aren't, you know, so I get that mindset. But hey, man, if Lil Hilltop, if it's something you think about, Lil H Top, excuse me, if you thinking about getting up in this get down like that, man, hey man, by all means. But by all means, just let me say, man, there's a loved one to you, man. Get in this space, man. If you do get into this space, man, do it, man, to help the people, homie. Help your community. Help them to see, man, what's wrong. You know what I'm saying? Help them understand, man, that ain't nothing wrong with, you know, putting our best foot forward and striving for perfection. You know, empower the people, homie. Don't tear them down. We got enough of that, you know? All right. Lisa Moore says black first, man. B1, black first. All right, Murray Bubba. You say, God bless everyone, man. Likewise, man, and right back to you, bro. Good to see you up in here, man. This thing is in. It's up and running, man. All right, let me, okay, I almost catch up. That might be wishful thinking, but hey, yeah. James said, man, we got to be comfortable in what you sport, you know? Real shit. Also, James said, agreed, bud. Much love to all the kings out there. All the queens out there, excuse me. Murray Bubba says, self-respect goes a long way. I'm trying to tell you. My mom also used to tell me, hey, well, I think we've all heard this phrase, this saying, first impressions. First impressions, they mean a lot, man. Whether we think so or not, they really do. Because people, you know, people observe, and based on how they perceive you, what they've seen of you or what you exposed to them will determine whether or not they really respect you. You know, I say all the time, man, as far as I'm concerned, um, I deal with individuals, man, with respect first and foremost, because that's what I don't want it. I demand it, but I think it's demanded of me first to give that, so that if respect is something that's lacking, in an individual who I'm having an exchange with or comes to whatever, hey, I'm standing on that. That's what I stand on. I stand on respect. You know what I mean? That's not to say I've always been that way. I haven't. I wasn't always that way. But life, man, has shown me that, first and foremost, I had to have it for myself, man. I had to carry myself a certain way. I had to go about doing things a certain way that are actually etched in the stone, or the stone of respect, so to speak. I wasn't always like that. I've done disrespectful things to individuals, man. You know, some of which some individuals would not forgive me for. Okay, I get that. You know, I don't blame them for that. I was a disrespectful individual, man. And I regret that. I've made my peace with that, with these individuals, man, and personally, you know, and I've moved on, you know, but I wear that, close to me more than anyone else. Respect for self, you know. I'm not gonna let myself do certain things, you know what I mean? Carry on a certain way, and put myself, or allow me allowing myself to be in a certain light, man, where respect doesn't exist, and especially with me first. So respect is, I think, is paramount. It's very important to an individual's makeup. Respect for self, man. Because like I say, man, people are always watching you. you know People observe, man. They look for things, They look for things, man, to criticize you about, to hold against you, or other things, man. So you always want to be mindful that, man, wherever you go, someone's watching you. So you always want to be on your P's and Q's, you know. And the first thing you want people to see is self-respect. That's it, you know. Yeah. It goes a long way, Murray. You ain't never lied, man. Poke Mitchell, man. Poke said, man, I stopped sacking once I hit the pen. Mobility was definitely needed in most battles. Yeah. Yeah, man. You couldn't be sagging if you trying to save your, something go down. You can't, hey man, there's nowhere in the world you'd be able to get that head start of you be able, take off like a bullet coming out the barrel of a gun if your pants is past your ass. It just don't work. You know. Pull them up, man, and loosen them up, you know. Get them nuts room to breathe, get that sack room to breathe, you know. For the home queen, and part of her lyrics in that excuse me, in the intro song she did for us, that Save song. She say, man, get the sack room to breathe. Brothers wearing these tight pants, man. The shit ain't gonna work, and kill them sperm cells, man. Poke, you go on to say, man, I think good skills like you have, Bub, come from good leadership. Yeah, yeah. I would agree to that. I would agree to that. And like I said, man, I had a lot of examples, you know. I had a lot of examples, man. You know, I have a lot of examples, so much so to where I strove to be an example, how to carry yourself, how to deal with shit. You know what I mean? Um, and like I said, man, early on, well, initially, I didn't give a damn, but the fact of the matter is there were individuals who gave a damn about me to the point where they, would structure me, you know, whether it was under coercion or duress. And, I appreciate it today. I appreciate it, so, you know, yeah. I give medals to those, man, who had an effect on my life, man. You know what I'm saying? Real respect, So there that is. Raymond Skull, man, he says, tapping in, bub. Shout out to the Royal Group congregation. May peace be to you as well as the kings and queens in the group, man. Hey, conversely, man, or reciprocally, man, peace and blessings, bro. Peace and blessings. I went in, made sure today, man, everything was above board. I left a comment and you get out, man. Made sure that I was already subscribed, but sometimes I always double back, make sure, because I can't forget some shit. I watch both videos and shit, boom. So yeah, I like that piece, man. You did, man. More of that is needed. More of that is needed. I made a commitment, and just based on that, you did that piece, and it being, the time of the year, the only time of the year when people want to commemorate us. I think that's some foul stuff. Anyway, I like the piece you did, man, and it made me say, or made me think, okay, man, I'm supposed to be dropping one every day. All right, so that's just the way that's supposed to be, and I got to buckle down, make sure I drop one every day for the rest of the month. So yeah, man, stay at it, get at it. Hey, man, relax a little bit too. You're all right. You're all right. Very articulate. The piece, man, was well put together, well thought out. Man, the dialogue with Roscoe. Like, share, comment, man. Subscribe to that Get Down, y'all. I'm telling you, it is above board. We need more of that. This I was just telling the young one, a little H-top, man. Hey, man, get in this space, man. Get in this space for a reason. Bring something to the people that they can use. Build them up. Don't tear them down. So, Raymond Skull, man, love the fact that you in this space, man. We need more like you, brother. All right? Make it happen. You going to say, Bub, a quick question since we're on the topic. Are you second generation, homie? I'm gonna tell you, I'm third generation. I had one loved one, the homie KC. Man, this dude was a bully back in the day. Woo! His brother was Tiny, man, a G homie, man. Everybody loved me, and Tiny, the G homie, loved Tiny, man. Tiny loved me, respect me. KC same way, but KC was a bully back in the day. But anyway, I interviewed KC, and KC was saying, man, wait, there he's excuse me. He's third generation. I'm fourth generation. I don't agree, but the homie Little Devil in my generation, he swam down. We're second generation. I'm like, no, man, we no second generation. If anything, we're third generation. You know what I mean? Because there were the founders and those dudes who started. That was the first generation. And then there were individuals who was up and running in this shit. And let's bring about the year, let's say 76, 77. This next generation start, be up and running. And that would have been certain homies. KC is one of them, you know what I mean? And we were same age range or age group, but we weren't active to maybe a year or two after them, you know what I mean? So I can get where he says, hey man, this is the generation y'all fall in. But we started out, man, we didn't start out game banging, we started out, man, skateboards, dirt bikes, pigeons, and shit like that. So by the seventh grade, 1977, for a lot of us, we, boom, that's when we made our debut, so to speak, 1977, and again, at this time, KC and them were already up and running, you know what I mean? They had brothers involved in this stuff, my older brothers, they knew, the G homies and everything, but they were athletes. They were not involved in game banging, but they knew everybody knew them. In fact, the G homie, rest in peace, Big Sam, I came to know Big Sam early on, right before, seventh grade, man, first day going to Bethune, man, he knew who I was based upon my brothers. You know what I mean? And so, that's how that relationship, started. Rest in peace, Big Sam. And love and respect to his brother Alki Lou, another one of my G homies, man. Been knowing him for a long, long time. Anyway, but that it is. I would say we're third generation. And the individuals I'm talking about, we all came up together, man. We all came up together. And in fact, some of them were, I just think it's third generation, period, point blank. For this group, even in that range, that age range, when dudes are a year or two older than me and us, we still, I think, third generation. First generation was the founders, those founders, and then everybody that came in after that, all the way up, let's say into the year 1975, 76. I don't know, but I know like 77, man, we were all up and running, you know. We were up and running. So I would say third generation for sure. For sure. Shout out to Little Sims, man. Love you, homie. Just had a thought about you, man. Hope that you're well, bro. I'll give you a call later on, you know. But yeah, that's what that is, Roscoe. No, I'm not second generation. I wouldn't label myself second generation, and this is why I'm always, I speak against being labeled OG. I'm not an OG. I get it. I understand how the terminology is used, and all that. But hey, man, nah. A lot of us in our generation, we don't look at it like that. You know what I mean? We come from them. They just because we come from them, they don't necessarily make us OGs. You know what I mean? Because we were raised by them, But yeah, Raymond Scott, second generation, no. Third generation, yes. All right. Yeah, third generation, man. Easy, easy to call. Chris said, man, you did good on those interviews. Very articulate and good questions. Appreciate you, Chris. Good to see you back. All right. You in and out, man. You know what I mean? Like a light bulb about to go out, man. Go and screw that thing in there a little tighter, man. We want to see you all the time. Want to see you shining, man, up in here, man. If time and schedule priorities permit, But good to see you in here, brother. How you been? All right, man. Handle that shit. Dion Kume. He said Mike didn't do it. Excuse me. Mike didn't do it. I cropped edited his hand. Saw Mike had stripes or some on sleeves. Boom. No offense, gotta say it. Marv on Boss Talk sounds like an old lady lately today. Okay, I'm not catching that, but okay, man. Anyway, Dion, man, this is Under the Groove Podcast. You are a part of touching bases with the people. Don't understand your comment fully, but hey, you're in this space, man, and this is where we get out what to get out, and that is, about loving one another, man, respecting each other, man, and unifying, not just, man, it's coming together in this piece of touching base with the people, man, but in our thoughts and our get downs, we're here for that, homie. Appreciate your presence, man. Appreciate your presence, man. Observe the bylines, One love, brother. Be one. Black first, all right? Poke going to say, Poke Mitchell says, man, Low H Top, thank you for getting the best out of Bub for all of us. It's why I respect G's from all over. Much respect. I'm not, hey, Poke, all bullshit aside, homie. And, we come from the same cloth, Poke, what I'm saying? I tend to think of myself as humble. And again, that was a process. I had to get there, you know what I mean? Because, like a lot of us, we start out arrogant, you know what I mean? We the shit and can't nobody tell us different, Life got a hold of my ass, and it brought a whole lot of realities to me, man. You know what I mean? As a result of, man, I find that I'm more humble than I've ever been, so I'm saying that to say, man, I'm not a closed book, bro. I just don't, a lot of times think expressing, the things I've been through is, some of the things I think a lot of people want to hear, the salacious or the fallacious, stories, that people have or the experiences they've been through. Me, I'm like this. I want to avoid that, so I tend not to speak about a lot of stuff. Now, that being said, I'm not a closed book, home. You know what I mean? There are a lot of things, experiences, that took place in my life I can speak about, that are lessons, you know what I mean, that can shine light on individuals, man, in such a way to where if they listen close enough, they may take something with them or, depart with something there that'll keep them from getting caught up in some shit, man, that they ain't gonna pan out to be nothing, be a waste of your life, your future. I'm an open book, man. It's just certain things I don't talk about. I don't talk about gang activity. I don't like talking about certain aspects of prison. You know what I mean? Things of that nature, man. But I have a lot of experiences, man, with a lot of people, man. I know a gang of people. You know what I mean? I do. I don't know if I did any of them justice, if I nurtured those relationships accordingly or properly, man. But shit, I know what I know as a result of the interactions with them, you know what I'm saying? And I'm cool with a lot of them brothers to this day, So I'm not a closed book, homie. It just, when it comes down to if certain questions asked, I'm gonna decide or determine whether or not, that's something we, should discuss. And I'm not doing it for my sake, I'm really not, I'm doing it for those who may be listening that, aren't fully developed yet and may, could possibly take the wrong meaning or message from something I'm saying, you know what I mean? Because they're not all the way there yet, so, but a book, let's hope a book is coming. Let's hope a book is coming. If a book come in, again, though, it ain't just some things, we should never speak about, to speak on a lot of things that shouldn't be spoke about is almost like giving that behavior credence, validating the behavior, so a lot of stuff I'm not going to speak about, man. And again, I think I'm a humble brother, man, because there've been instances, man, shit, I can act a fool. I just choose not to. I've been there and done that. And I know where it got me, So that it is. Still love you, bro. We like I said, we cut from the same cloth, man. Our experiences are similar, man. We may have different, aspects or perspectives. Hey, man, shit. You know. And you tell Bo Pete I say what's happening, man. That's bro. That's bro. Yeah. Much love, homie. James says, man, on the other hand, bub, people will only judge me because of the color of my skin. They're simple-minded observers and conscious observers. I only really respect those who look like me, and others I tolerate. I get it. And for me, like I say, man, just initially I'll give respect. I don't care what race you are. I will give more respect to my people than I would others, but I still give respect until such a time or when I deem you're not worthy of my respect. And so I start off like that. Somebody in the streets nod, I'll nod back. Hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing? You know what I mean? That type of get down. So. You're going to say, man, your eyes can only see as far as your mind will think. In the grand scheme of society, there's a lot of closed-minded sheep and ignorant idiots. Yeah. Sam's Evan, what it do? You over there laughing. You got them laughing faces going, man. Good seeing you again, though, brother. All right. Dion Kume says, had to put it, that's not how double native of the area homie Cisco. Yeah, I'm still kind of, lost, but okay. It seems like you're getting a little more clear, try it again. Shit, we'll get it. I'll pick it up. Drop it. You drop it again, man. I'll pick it up, man. Keep dropping it until I can grasp it. You know what I mean? Polk said, loosen them up. Yeah, that's what he did, Polk. That's what he did, Polk. All right. Little H-Top boy, you crafty. You crafty for that one, homie. Yeah. Love you nonetheless, homie. Love you nonetheless, man. Loosen the brother up, man. You tell me it's okay to talk about some things. I get it. James said, man, I can listen to Bud for hours. The other podcasts, I can't stand them for more than 3 seconds. I need more platforms like this. And I know it doesn't get stressed enough, but that's the truth. And again, we do. We need more of this, man. And this is why we salute, or we want to give our medals, man, to Raymond Skoll, man, and Roscoe for jumping in this fray, man. He didn't, he didn't brought himself to a fight. And I think that he's armored up pretty well. He's ready for war. The way he came into it, man. I love how he did that. So yeah, we need more of this, man. We need more of this. And let that brother, man, shit, y'all just watch and see. I could tell, shit, he gonna be dropping fire. He gonna drop some fire. So the more of that, the merrier. Real shit. Appreciate that, James. All right. No, I'd say, I'd say you drop it, I'll pick it up. You said not a good one. A so-called black helped take an icon out. Who are you talking about? I wish you were going to express what you're talking about, who you're talking about, so we can determine whether or not this, even fits in, what we got going on. All right. So, break that down if you can, brother. Chris said, man, so how many years apart would a generation be? Yeah, right. That's the thing. That's what boggles the mind. Man, black folk do, this is the thing, man. You know how we do, man. Yeah, we say whatever it is, man. That's what it is. But, in terms of how that really go, man, was etched in stone is like every 20 years supposed to be a generation, something to that, for 18 to 20 years, something like that. I don't know if it's changed over the years, but that's what I recall. Yeah, man, and what no 20-year gaps, in us or the so-called generations, being involved in this, this culture. Not even close. So I don't know. How many years? Yeah, that's a good question right there. That is a good question. You got me grabbing the phone because I want to ask, how many years is considered a generation? All right. So it says a generation is all of the people born and living at about the same time. Regarded collectively. It also is the average period, generally considered to be about 20 to 30 years, during which children are born and grow up, become adults, and begin to have children. So 20 to 30 years is considered a generation, and if that's the case, then you have to look at it like this: 80, 90. We would be considered first generation, everybody up to about 94, 92, and then this generation, not now that we see, but the one before it would be generation 2, and the brothers and sisters today would be the third generation. But yeah, we don't, black folk don't do it like that, man. We just don't. I don't know. James said, I believe generations are about 8 to 10 years apart. Bub can correct me in terms of the culture. Yeah, and that's what we do here. We correct one another, man. We do it respectfully. I said 18 to 20. A good question, though, to be posed to the RGC, though, Chris, real spit, because you know, we'd be all over the place right now. If not for you asking the question, I wouldn't have, you know, thought to, you know, bring that up or go in there and look it up. So 20 to 30 years is considered a generation by their terms. Again, we're talking about black folk. We, you know, we don't always toe the cue. We never go, you know, the way people want us to go. That's the beauty of us, man. You know, and that's why I say, man, things are gonna change. We're gonna, you know, we'll switch reels real quick on, you know, on people. You know, we'll bring a different get down to this get down, man. That's what we do, you know. So yeah. Rakufu said, or says, one must find that inner peace to produce external productivity. Humble yourself to the point of tranquility so that you may have proper thought patterns and make rash, thoughtful decisions. So that you have property. Okay. I don't know if that fits though, Rakufu. Is you may have proper thought patterns and make rash, thoughtful decisions. You know. Okay, so Dion says, man, I was around dice games 1970, early about sixth grade, off Western Avenue, back Archer, photo pose, 5 years old. Yeah. Mike Jordan, under scandal. Yes, sir. Okay. All right, man. Michael Jordan's a foul individual, James saying again, I am who I was talking to. Oh, no, I did something. I dropped something today on All Things Politics 26, and I used Mike as a reference because you know, LeBron James is in the news because of something he didn't say, not because what he said, but because of something he didn't say in terms of the Zionist regime and that issue going on over there in Palestine or Gaza. He was asked after the All-Star game about a certain NBA player from Israel, Danny. I wrote his name down somewhere. Danny something, you know, the Israeli cat. So rather than LeBron answering the question and cutting it off, you know, well, he did good, you know, he got his basketball IQ is this, that, and the third, you know, he has talent potential, da da da. He expanded the question and started speaking about Israel, you know, and end up saying, oh, Israel is a good place, you know, and that what did it, that set it off. People have been going in on LeBron ever since, man. And it made me think, because like I said, I did some content on LeBron and that issue today, and it made me think of, I forget the white lady's name who told him to just shut up and dribble, you know. And I said that, LeBron, just dribble, stupid. You know, stay out of this shit, man, if you don't really know, you know what I mean? But here you are. He has a following. You're on social media all the time. How is it that you don't understand or know what's going on in Israel or with Israel? How? You know, don't make a lot of sense, you know, and, you know, so I did some content on that today, you know, and in the course of doing that, I mentioned Michael Jordan and how foul he is, you know, but Michael Jordan, damn, I want to say to his credit, but yeah, but Michael Jordan stays out of politics, you know, especially, you know, out front politics, first page news type shit. Michael Jordan just talks about basketball, you know, or golf, you know. I don't know. So, but yeah, we know he's part ownership of these new private prisons. He has stock in that. You know, again, I've said he'll sell brothers Jordans real quick, but brothers can't really afford Jordans, $200-$300 pair of tennis shoes, man, without, you know, well, especially when they don't have jobs, you know, or they're hustling, you know, illegally. That's how they get them shoes, man. Some parents, they buy their children them shoes. They work for them buying them shoes, but I would have to say the majority of some of these brothers who have them and sisters who wear them, you know, some of them don't work. Not all of them, not most of them, but some of them don't work. How they get the money, So Jordan, you want them Jordans. They trending. They the shit. What you gonna do to get that money? Whatever it is, them Jordans gonna be trying to carry your ass away from the police car. Because chances are you gonna get caught up. So you go from that to find yourself in Michael Jordan's private prison. I think that's foul, Anyway. All right, man. I tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna put you on timeout, brother. Yeah, I think I'm gonna just put you on timeout for a little bit, man. That's what I did. All right. So there we go, man. Let's get back to what we're doing, man. And I hate doing that. And again, I'm still learning this shit, man. Sometimes I don't recognize when a troll is trolling or something, people, tripping, whatever. I hate doing that, man, because I don't think brothers and sisters are expendable. But sometimes, yeah, we have to do those things that we're against, for the betterment or for the best, of everybody else. Those saying, man, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, or conversely, the needs of the few outweigh the needs of the many. In this case, man, it's us that matter, and not this individual back and forth, in unintelligible, comments. I just didn't get it. Felt kind of trollish to me. But anyway. Let me get back with where I was. Okay, so anyway, Polk said, man, they say humble beginnings require the best out of you, and your dialogue with H-Top, which the RGC scene was genuine. That's all, big bro. Appreciate that, loved one. Appreciate that, loved one. But I'm willing to wager, man, the majority of you brothers and sisters in here will have the same the gist of your conversation, man, and how if you're talking to one of our people, man, I'm pretty sure, man, it would be the same get out. It would be about positivity. It would be about trying to structure or instruct brothers, advise brothers, man, about, man, hey, this is what which you should think about is best for us or yourself, the people. Consider this rather than that, because this would take you further than that, or whatever the conversation you decide to have with our brothers and sisters. I'm just sure that you brothers would not, you sisters would not drop the ball. Shit. There that is. All right. Chris says, man, the world is blasphemy, speaking on things you shouldn't speak on. That too. That too. But then, we got a situation. Excuse me, y'all. Well, again, man, nowadays, man, we got to be very careful, very mindful of how people label stuff, or, how they interpret words, the etymology of words and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? We have to be careful, man. Because I think we're in a time, man, where people will say anything or use any word towards anything, and before you know it, everybody is misappropriating the meaning of that word or putting it in, a sentence or a part of conversation that does not belong. If blasphemy if blasphemy is about, religious sacrilege, if somebody's talking about God or Jesus in the minds of those who believe or have faith of those sort of things, and they're speaking ill, that would be to them blasphemy, because the scripture says that's what it is. But nowadays, man, we got situations where I'm telling you, man, and we see it every day. People start using words, man. There's one podcaster, man, for instance, this brother, he uses words, and I swear, man, I be wondering, like, damn, man, what the hell you say, And I'm only aware of it because, I'll go in and tap in with the loved one, Chinaman, Damon Porter, and he's like, all right, what's going on, and, certain cats be saying stuff this, hey, man, you're not using that word right. I mean, it's almost like blasphemy. And that could be considered blasphemous to wordsmiths, people who are into etymology, what words really mean and how they should be used. That would be, just cringeworthy to those people, blasphemy, but anyway, yeah, let me finish yours because you got another piece of this, Chris. I'll start again. The word is blasphemy. Okay, did I miss something? Let me go back. No. I must have missed something, Chris, because it's starting out. The word is blasphemy, speaking on things you shouldn't speak on. You're going to say if black folks terms it would be the enlightenment of a collective thought around the same period of time. Basically, if we claimed at that same time, where's the same generation, or we're in the same generation. Okay. Got you. Generation. Okay. Rakufu said, man, one must find that inner peace. All right. To produce external productivity. Humble yourself to the point of tranquility so that you may have proper thought patterns and make rash, thoughtful decisions. Polk said, man, they say humble beginnings. Okay. Require the best out of you. And your dialogue with H-Top, which the RGC scene was genuine. That's all, big bro. Appreciate that, man. Anthony Tibbs, he said, Grand Rising, my good people. What it do, Anthony? How you doing, loved one? Good to see you up in here, man. Grand Rising, right back to you, bro. James said, man, thank you for clearing, bub. That generation stuff with the gangs always tripped me up. The gang world has rules and regulations of its own. That it does. Certain protocols, man, Chris said, man, so in black folks' terms, it would be enlightenment of a collective thought around the same period of time. I read that. Raymond Skull. Damn, this thing moving by itself. That sucker jumped a whole lot. That dude can't be back in here, is he? Oh, he must have went the other way. Hold on. I swear to God, I took that motherfucker. How did that motherfucker get back? Okay, go back. Okay, there you go. Hold on, y'all. I'm trying to figure out what the hell just happened because it don't make a whole lot of sense. Oh, I see what that is. Okay. All right. All right. Then that means it's okay to be. I'm leaving B. I'm leaving B for right now. Okay. Anyway. Wow. Grand Rising. Okay. Like I said, Anthony, Grand Rising right back to you, bro. Chris say, man, so in black folks' terms, it would be the enlightenment of a collective thought around the same period of time. Raymond Skull says, I've seen most of your interviews. Personally, I thought the Hoover's history needed to be told. I respected the history and how it was presented or represented, excuse me. How your podcast evolved to this level deserves honors. I appreciate that, bro. And like I say, you know how you just get this feeling, okay, it's time to move on. And that's what I felt, but again, see, a lot of people don't know coming into that situation. I had always planned, and the wife knew this, and others, close to me knew this, to not do that for long, Yeah, I was hoping to get certain individuals that I thought could shed light on the history of, Hoover's inception. There was always that banting about who was first, the chicken or egg. You know what I mean? Was it sevenfold? Was it nine deuce? You know what I mean? That was always, something that, been in there for a long time. Nine deuces. A lot of them to this day still think, nine deuces started it first. Sevenfolds are pretty much assured that they started it first, based upon Hoover Joe kicking it off. Anyway, you know, um, again, it was never, the plan was not to continue on talking about that, and once, I came to an understanding that I had the main or one of the main figures, you know, um, who had to do with the inception of this get down. Um, I said, okay, man, I got it. I got it. TS was there, PT was there, TC, I got it. So, okay, if I got that, then what's next? See, because here's the reality, man. And this was for me. I just didn't think it was one of the things is I didn't think that it was that it's feasible or would have been possible to just continue this thing talking about gang history on and on and on. And I didn't want to do that. I just didn't think that was something that needed to be done. And again, man, what was the purpose of the whole get down? That was just my segue to where we are now. You know what I mean? And that's why I appreciated it. I never saw, I did not see myself like to this day still talking about, you know, um, Hoover history, you know, you know. Now, if a loved one comes up, reputable, with something to say, something concrete, something that's going to benefit the people, hey, man, come on, okay, you can give, a brief mention of that. I don't have a problem with that. But, the issue or your reason for being here is to talk about this, and that this would be us discussing um, the community, how to improve it, how to help it, how to bring it out of the morass or the shit it's in. You know what I mean? That would be the only way or the only reason, Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 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 Appreciate that though, Raymond. Yeah, man. Chris said basically if we claimed at the same time we're in the same generation. Right. Yeah. Right. And I was telling y'all about KC, man. But KC had always been a young hog, man. And damn bully, man. I swear to God, he was a bully. Swear to God, he was a bully. And I always vowed, I said, I'm gonna get him back one day. Swearing down his pigeon cage didn't get hit. Man, I tore that cage up. Got all them birds. Yeah, man. That's the love one, man. And shout out to KC, man. Ball head. All right. Rakufu said, man, what street officially separates the east side from the west side? We know Broadway is the last west, and Main Street is the first east. So what is Spring Street? Spring Street is part of that, what they call the west side, Let it be told, well, you just actually mentioned it. The west side is really considered from Maine on towards Vermont and all that, Broadway and all that, that's supposed to be considered the west side, if I remember it correctly, or was it Central and then, or either San Pedro? It's one of them, Maine, San Pedro. Yeah. The west side really, in terms of those who wrote all this stuff and who designate west, east, west, north, and south, the east side isn't Broadway, you know what I mean, or Maine, you know what I mean? It's a little further back. Yeah. Al Thomas said, man, generations in gangs speak. It's totally different. In my opinion, on that matter, I would say a generation is maybe 4 years apart. But that would still put me in those in our age group in third generation, you know. It just would, you know, put us in the third generation, man. You know. Okay. Rakufu said, man, I meant non-rash. I know, bro. I know. I just fuck with you. But I know, I know you know how to put your shit together for sure, for sure. Anyway, James said, also, man, LeBron ain't never attended Kobe's funeral. He fouled at me for that. Rest in peace, Black Mamba. All right, C1. Black Fist. How you doing, sister? How are you doing over there? How is your day starting? We got to keep in mind, we got to remember that, she's on a different time scheme than we are, or, a different time than we are. Okay. Hopefully you are well, though, sis. Hopefully you are well. All right. I'll say respectfully, big bro, Michael Jordan, the basketball player, does not own nor have stock in private prisons. This is a case of mistaken identity. There is a man named Michael Jordan that does own private prisons. Okay, I'm going to research that, and I appreciate you dropping that in there. Respectfully, bro. Yeah, I'm going to get on top of that one. Lisa Moore says, B1 Black first. That's true. She once said she's doing good. She said, good, uncle, just busy sewing, filming for the MV, for the move. Love to you and auntie and nephew. We love you as well. Keep doing what you're doing. Stay positive, stay productive, people. I go for everybody in RGC. Let's do that. Hey, let's drop this clip, man. I want to drop this clip. It's not long, maybe a couple of minutes, but I'm telling you, it's telling. It's telling, man. My. Check this out, man. Let's drop this right quick.
Here is its key scene.
What is your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
What is freedom?
Freedom is black power.
What is black power?
Black power is...
Do you know what black power is?
No.
Well, then you should never make any statements if you don't know what they mean.
I'm sorry, I don't know.
All right. How old are you, young man?
I am 4 years old.
Wow.
You're not 4, Eric. Now you tell me your right age. How old are you? How old are you?
I am 4 years old.
Are you sure you're 4?
Yes.
You're going to let me turn you around and tell you you're some other age? You're 6 years old, Eric.
No.
I can't hear you, Eric.
No.
Are you being frightened by me?
No.
I'm a teacher. I said you're 6.
I am 4 years old.
All right, then. You stand up for it, then. You shouldn't be weak. You stand up and say it. You ought to scream it in my face if I try to tell you different, right?
Yes.
Have a seat. Stand up, young man. Are you a Negro, Travis?
No.
Are you a flunky, Travis?
No.
What are you?
I am black and beautiful.
And what else are you? Are you a boy?
No.
What are you?
Oh, man.
What kind of man?
Black and beautiful man.
Well, what kind? Are you an old man or a young man?
Young man.
You, young man. You're a Negro.
No.
I am your teacher. You are a Negro.
No.
Suppose I threatened to beat you. What would you say? Aren't you a Negro now?
No.
What are you?
I'm black and beautiful.
What is your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
Suppose I had some money in my pocket. Suppose I gave you $1 to say that you're an American Negro. This is money now. Money talks. Money talks. This dollar. Don't say it, you don't get it. You're an American Negro, aren't you?
No.
You won't have any money. You know you need money, don't you?
Yeah.
You need money to live, don't you?
Yeah.
All right. All you have to say, Leon, is that you're an American Negro. Aren't you an American Negro? Are you an American Negro?
No.
What are you?
I'm black and beautiful.
What's your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
Very good, man. Keep it up. Go sit down. You had to think about that a minute, didn't you?
Yeah.
All right. All right, everybody. What is your nationality?
My nationality is Afro-American.
This was one of the most controversial.
All right. Yeah, I just want to drop that in there, man. Let the people check that out, man. Keep in mind that was done, I think, 1968 or either 1969. But the point is, man, education was different, I think, for a lot of us back then. I can actually remember my first day of school, being in the first grade, you know, things of that, you know, of that, you know, nature. And it was different, you know. Today, there's no educating the black mind in terms of identity. And that's what I think part of that clip was trying to convey, you know, that, you know, back then there was this thing or such thing as trying to, well, attempting to educate the young black mind in terms of identity, you know. We lack that today. We don't have none of that today, man. And I brought it up because I thought about the conversation we had yesterday about identity. You know, part of our problem is we lack it, you know. But I thought about them young brothers, man, that he had on, that was on that that piece right there. I wondered about where they are today, you know. Made me wonder. I'd like to know, you know. But yeah. Also, I got a clip, man, with Kyrie Irving, man, and he's talking about some high power stuff, man. Before I get to that, man, let me address some of these comments, you know, in the RGC, man, in the chat, man. Again, though, this is Under the Groove podcast. For all of you who are just coming in, your first time here, we are touching bases with the people. All right, please like, share, comment, and subscribe to this podcast if you see fit. This is where we do focus on the focus. Everything we do also is above board. It's straight, you know. It's about love here. You know, it's about unity. You know, it's about dignity, you know, and most certainly identity. This is what we hope to acquire or get from, you know, these sessions, man. You know, an understanding of who we are. You know, and there's a lot of conversation about that. There's a lot of dialogue about that in the RGC chat space. All right. That being said, I see you up in here, Black. You say, damn, this video cuts deep, especially seeing our continued plight today. Part of the reason why I showed it. Big difference, right? Big difference. A lot of it has occurred in society, but more so in education, to that point or extent where we have been affected, man, drastically, man. We are so uneducated. We are so miseducated that, man, it's shameful, man. It's shameful. You know, so I thought that would be a good piece to share. I got one more I'd like to share with you all. Again, hey, thanks, Black, for tapping in with us. Again, this is Touching Bases with the People. We do this every Monday to Friday, 6:15 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. or later, you know, sometimes. All right. So you're more than welcome to be here, and we appreciate your presence tonight. Peace and blessing, brother, to you and yours. And right quick, Raymond Scott said, Bub, we are on the same wavelength. I seen this earlier. This clip was powerful. He taught those young brothers a lot in that clip. Yeah. And I would like that because he had little sisters in there too. I think I seen an extended clip. In fact, I could say that I seen even where he had, you know, spoken with the sisters, our little sisters, man. And it was the same, you know, assuredness, you know, knowledge, you know, of who they were, it's again, man, we don't see this no more, man. I can't go ask a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 8-year-old, any of those questions and get an answer or a response that makes sense. That's sad. But again, that points to what has been done intentionally, especially in terms of education to our people, man. This not no made up shit. You know, it's not made up. And again, so when we say, man, we understand what's going on, you know, people say, oh, y'all always playing the victim. No, we're not. We don't have to ever do that. You know, we don't have to ever do that. That's not what we do. Again, we're calling a duck a duck. We understand what's going on. You know what I mean? But I say, you know, to this point where we are today in society, in the world, man, yeah, man, F them. We don't have to direct our energy to them in terms of what the hell they done. We know what they done. We see it in real time. We need to start focusing our energy, man, and our, you know, our everything on us. This is why we're trying to say we're trying to have this thing go, this phrase we use become something that's said every day amongst our people. Be one. Black first, man. And we got to start thinking like this, man. Not just saying that we got to think like this. We got to carry ourselves like that, man. And in that way, man, we start to bring ourselves up out this BS, because to say that, it elicits something in us. It wakes us up to a certain extent or degree to where, okay, what does that really mean? Let me find out. Let me discover for myself. So when I say out in public anywhere, someone be one, black first, they go, what you mean? What you talking about, man? We have to start educating ourselves, man. We have to start not looking at where the problem came from. We know where the problem came from. We have to start focusing on how to fix the problem, how to fix us. That's it. That's how I see that, man. That's how I see that, man. You know, Pope Mitchell says, man, they were smarter than I was at that age. And it was definitely beautiful. I have to say, again, we came up, you know, again, I'm not a closed book, man. You know, some things I think need to be, you know, divulged. You need to be, you know, said or recited or shared. My mother was an educator, you know. We didn't grow up poor. We didn't grow up rich either. You know what I mean? Mom's work, pops work, you know, the good jobs, you know, gainfully employed. We owned our home. We lived at this time. We fresh, you know, we come out from Oklahoma City, man. I recall that shit. I was 3. The first house we lived in when we got here was on 77th between Hoover and Figueroa. We moved from there to 79th, Hoover in Vermont. From there, we moved to Madden Avenue. And back then, it was Van Ness Brims. I think that's 60s neighborhood now. I went to 59th Street School, you know, for a short while because, you know, again, shit happened. And that family dynamic, man, it fell apart. And, you know, moms was left to fend. And at that time, it was just 4 of us, 4 boys, you know. We were back on Hoover Street, you know. Now, keep in mind, our family lived on Hoover Street also, you know. We had aunties over there. My grandmother was over there, you know. But that's where we ended back up at. And we ended up back over there in poverty, you know. And I can say, I can express it as abject poverty. And I mean that shit. I mean that shit, you know. No running water, no electricity, no gas, you know, just, you know, going through it, you know. Mom's never left us. She wasn't on drugs or nothing. You know, she worked, you know. I don't know, man. I can't understand what the issue was, but there it was, you know. Anyway, I you know, hey man, shit. You know, that's how we grew up, man. We weren't, you know, it wasn't like that. Anyway, long story short, man, you know, here I am, man. And mom's did, I know she did all she could do. She was an educator, though, like I said, man. And we were taught early on, just before she was a Black Panther, we were taught early on how to read, you know, how to write, you know, how to count, spell, you know, all this stuff. We had back then encyclopedias. I think I'm trying to remember, they weren't Britannica, Encyclopedia Britannica. They were black encyclopedias with like maybe 18 volumes, 18 books dealing with anything black, Black American, African, you know, and we had to read these books. Anyway, so, you know, I get how they were raised, you know what I mean? And I think that back then that was something that was going on in the Black family, in the household, educating, you know, beyond the education they were getting in school, but educating still, you know, we don't have that anymore. All right. So that's what I was trying to say, man. That's what I was trying to say. Black says, man, our people did so much more back then with much less than what we have today. Tell the truth, man. Tell the truth, man. Tell the truth. Raymond Scholes said, man, this clip shows the importance strong Black men as role models to our youth in all sectors of society. And I'll finish that, is or needs to be, you know. It shows the importance of having a Black man in the lives of these young brothers and young sisters, you know, a father figure, you know, somebody to look up to, somebody to trust, somebody to depend on, you know, somebody that you know will protect you, you know. We lack that. I want to show this other clip right quick, man. And you just give me your thoughts on this one, man. Yeah, there you go, right there. Yeah, give me your thoughts on this one. Okay, here we go. This is Kyrie Irving. All right, everybody, check this out. Hmm. 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 Yeah, man. There that is. You got to give him his medals for that, man. He's already under fire. You know what I mean? They haven't thought or tried to figure out ways to bring him down ever since that issue, you know, that they wanted to have with him. You know, I think he should have never. I don't think he folded or crumbled, but I don't think he should have um acquiesced. You know, I don't even want to say submit. You know, this young brother, man. I'm just looking at him speak right now, and damn, it seems that it was such an uncomfortable conversation for him. Something that, just made him uncomfortable to share. And it made me think, like, damn, man, what kind of pressure or oppression are y'all under? But he said what he said, man. And we see this every day. We see this behavior every day. Man, some of the worst actors in the world, they fronting. They fronting. A lot of them have no integrity, no principles, no values, no morals, no real direction in terms of, man, the people, helping the people, not just themselves, but the people. And when you do that, yeah, you're making a place a better place to be in or to live when you live like that. And it starts with just the simplest shit. Just having integrity, man. Being principled, being a principled individual. And I just said to y'all, I had to learn those things. You know what I mean? I had to learn that. Because in a lot of ways, I was brought up where a lot of that did not exist. I could be getting schooled, man, in some of the most righteous things, literature, art, history, politics. But at the same time, I could also been around individuals. I was around individuals who didn't have integrity, who didn't have principles or morals or values. You know what I mean? A lot of what they were doing, I think, for the most part, some of them, not the majority, was just a show, because that's what everybody else was doing. And they didn't want to seem like a sore thumb. They didn't want to stick out, because that's not really what they wanted. I had a brother, man, in prison. And I'm just getting there, man. I'm fresh to this shit, man. But this brother, a homie, mistook me for being just green. You know what I mean? He didn't understand, what my agenda was before I got to prison, how I was getting down, Anyway, this brother, man, tried to, what's the word, man? He influenced me to book somebody for him. Dick and pussy shit. Immediately I looked like what? Man, you crazy, man. Why you ain't gonna do it? And because, back then, them brothers was swole, was huge. Kind of look, and I look back like, I ain't scared of none of that, man. You take your shit and go do it yourself. He walked off, man. I went and found a couple of homies that to this day I respect and still, hang around with, talk to, love and respect. I say, man, what do we want? Like, what? I'm like, yeah, man. Like, nah, that's unacceptable. But I'm just trying to make a point, man, in terms of, people lack integrity. And that to me was an integrity issue. We got that today. We got brothers out here, man, with these young cats, man, and they telling them to do shit they're not gonna do themselves. But they talk a good one. We got some real actors out here, man. And that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. And that problem is they don't want to see us do better. They only want to see themselves do better, They only want to be in a position of control or power, or wealth. That's a problem, man. That's a problem to the people, man. That's a problem to the youth, man, coming up, man. That should not exist, But, Kyrie saying that, man, it's like when I saw it today, I was like, damn, man, that's the realest shit. Now, I'm not suggesting this by no means, but we leave here tonight and we go on social media, we're going to see all them cats. All of them. 99% of them. And some sad stuff going on, y'all. Some sad stuff going on with our people, man, and we don't see it. You know, Raymond Skull, man. You said, well, damn, you sent this to yourself. You said Raymond Skull 102 had to be a father tonight in action, and indeed, it required firm correction, patience, encouragement, and building confidence through education. That made me feel good. That's the business, though, bro. Yeah. And saying that's your role as a man right now, and I know. And that goes for a lot of us, man. Al, you know, even I, you know. Mine are grown, and yet, you know, I still find there are times, man, you got to coach. You know, you still got to, you know, be a father, but try to be one in a way where you're not where I'm not. Making it seem like I don't give a damn, or that all this shit we talking about is BS or whatever, you know. Trying to be rational, man. Again, a father, man, trying to speak truth to power, man. That's a job, man, we're gonna have to the day we die, man. No matter how old our children become, you know. You know, that's just what it is, man. All right, hey James, man, I love you, brother. Peace and blessings to you, man. Enjoy them burgers, man. You know, get you a nice little beer or a shot of tequila, you know, and do your thizzle, man. Enjoy your life. Enjoy your life, man. Shoot, to be quite frank, man, on that note, I'm gonna cut out myself, man. It's time. I'm gonna put something in my stomach, man. I would like to just say this, man, before we go. Just, hey, man, yeah. Everything we see going on today, man, it's real stuff, man, to the point where, man, it's so real, it's gonna affect those we love, man. And I'm gonna tell you something, man. Those who are gonna be affected the most behind this stuff, man, they come out are the ones under us, the young ones. You know, our kids, our grandkids, our great grandkids. You know, our young brothers and sisters. We have to do a lot more, man, than what we're doing, man. You know, we got to really understand, man, that we trying to say we have to put in the work to save the lives of, you know, not just our kids, man, but our people, our existence. We have to save our future, man. We have to make it worth the while. All right. That's just what it is, man. And so do all that you can, man. You know, treat that situation, especially in the mindset that you're in now, treat that situation as such as if that was you back then with the mindset you have now, you know, in other words, like, you know what you know now, man, get that to them kids, man, give it to them now, man, you know, because we didn't get it like that, you know, and if we did, most of us, we forgot it, we neglected it, and we resisted, you know. Let's don't let them resist, man. This knowledge, this education, man, that they're gonna need, man, to survive what's coming down the pipes at them more than us. You know. That being said, man, peace and blessings to everybody, man. Love yourselves, man, so that you love someone else, man, who needs that love, may not know they need it, man. Take care of yourself so that you could take care of those who need taken care of, you know. And always know, man, that power is in the people. It ain't nowhere else, man. Black power is nowhere but right here with us, man. It is in the people. All right? You are, you have been, and you will be under the groove. Peace and blessings, everybody.
Count the names, count the bodies, count the victory. Cullen Hughes, Hurst, the right of future history. From the Apollo to the Borough to the Sphere. where the echo of those Harlem nights still ringing clear. So when they ask what happened in those tenement flats, between the spirituals and where consciousness is at, tell them we transform suffering to scholarship and song. Tell them we've been telling you we're brilliant all along. The Renaissance will prologue every decade since the sequel. Every black child born's continuation of the people who survived the Middle Passage, survived the Jim Crow laws, and built magnificence from nothing but their vision and their flaws. It's in the sergeant, this is once a less than Hatters, hats, and Mercedes. Please don't you, I can't stop us. Power sensitive, but you the applause for polls. Need your data, tropes, and constantly problem when the wedges wanna build the season bait. Now don't get the pause. It's just erasing up the times, plead the markets off the main. Make it honor fans, turn and neck and love the durn. Suffers like a kesha. You were wrong to preaching up on side and seat your bitch on the shit and untrue seeing vet someone the very inch on Gary Land. Be hell in heaven, you see what the banner fin. You wait talking for the marker, make the key to pull the club and saw the boards to the singer land is carried open slowly. Keep us looking on my mother, break your channel, resi more than he and let the peasant be. It's every time we keep a spawn.